catch me in its light. Ever since a Tuesday morning when I drove into the night, Kansas laid before me like a prayer nobody prays, and I added to the distance that was filling all my days. I've seen the Ozark Mountains when the morning dew is thin, seen the Gulf of Mexico when autumn's rolling in, stood beside the Rio Grande beneath a fat white moon, and told a woman in Savannah I'd be coming back real soon. All the miles I never counted are the ones that counted most. Every crossroads, every county, every unfamiliar coast. I've been running from a something family was always just ahead. All the miles I never counted are the lines inside my head. There's a man who pumps the gasoline outside of Baton Rouge. He's been there since his daddy gave him something he could use. He waves at every driver like he knows each one by name. I asked him once if he'd get restless, and he said he felt no shame. He said, son, the restless feeling follows every moving wheel, and the peace a man is chasing in the distance isn't real. It's right here at this gasoline pump, been here all along, and I pulled out of that parking lot and drove into a song. Maybe one of these October mornings I'll just stop the car and stay, and let the highway keep on moving without me in the way. Let somebody else do all this driving, let somebody else count all these days, all these miles I never counted, burning in a haze. All the miles I never counted, they'll be counted. There'll be every crossroads, every county is a letter that I send to the places that I came from, to the faces that I fled. All the miles I never counted were the truest life I led. The summers out in Georgia had a sound all of their own. The radio by the window playing something from back home. Hank and Patsy filled the evenings, the cicadas filled the dawn, and the cotton fields went white again before you knew the summer's gone. We'd ride out to the drive-in in my cousin Bobby's Ford, with a cooler and a bag of ice and something we couldn't afford. The picture show was fuzzy, but we never really watched. But we were busy being 17 and believing it would last. Cotton fields and radio songs, where did all those summers go? Cotton fields and radio songs filling up the AM low. Everything was simple then, everything was wide and long. Lord, I'd trade the world to be back in those cotton fields and radio songs. My mama dried the clothes on wire strung between the oak and pine. The smell of it would follow you like something close to divine. Daddy came home dusty with the Georgia clay on his boots, and sat down at the table saying grace right to the roots. Bobby, can you hear me? It's been too many years. I still hear your laughter when the static disappears. Mama, are you listening through whatever skies you roam? Those cotton fields and radio songs are the only way back home. Cotton fields and radio songs where every summer seemed to stay. Cotton fields and radio songs still played in the fading day. I may never find the words to say everything I'm feeling strong, but Lord, it's all right there in those cotton fields and radio songs.
You're listening to the greatest country classics, straight from the dusty roads of Texas to your heart. Grab your coffee, turn up the volume, and keep riding with this unforgettable classic country collection.
Well, I comb my hair back twice with a good pomade. Shine my boots till they cut like a switchblade blade. Told my daddy I'd be home for the church bell rings. But a boy like me don't keep to those kind of things. Picked up a Rosie at the end of Mulberry Lane. She had a red dress on and it was driving me insane. Put the top down on that rusted old two-door Ford, and we flew down County Road like a church-going chord. We're greasing the wheels on Saturday night. The whole town spinning under the neon light. The jukebox is wailing and the floor is alive. Honey, step on it, I was born to drive. Greasing the wheels on Saturday night. Everything's loose and everything's right. Come Monday morning, the world gets its way. But tonight, pretty baby, we're throwing it away. Old Hector at the diner says we're going too fast. Says every hot rod summer's got to land at last. But Hector never danced with a girl like mine, and Hector never had his hair slicked back so fine. We parked out by the water tower, engine still warm. The radio was fading, but we held to the form. She said, this is the best night I've ever had, you know. And I said, darling, I plan for every night to go with. Greasing the wheels on Saturday night. The stars are all burning and the road is wide. The jukebox is fading, but we're still alive. Honey, hold on tight, we were born to drive. Greasing the wheels on Saturday night. Everything's loose and everything's right. Come Monday morning, the world takes its toll. But tonight, pretty baby, we're giving it all. I come back down that old dirt road, the one they never paved, where the oak trees lean together like a congregation saved. The mailbox at the county line still leans a little right. Millbrook, Tennessee, you're beautiful in the fading light. There's a church beside the cedar grove where Reverend Thomas preached. He's gone now like the summer storms and everything he reached. But Sunday mornings still ring out like something in the bone. Millbrook, Tennessee, I never really left this home. Millbrook, Tennessee, where the fireflies come out at dark, where the old men tell their stories on the benches in the park. I spend my whole youth running from everything I see, but Lord, there's nothing quite like coming home to Millbrook, Tennessee. Old Harlan at the hardware store still talks about the drought, the summer when the creek ran dry and hope was running out. He saved a little money and he never left this land. Millbrook, Tennessee, some men are wiser than they plan. I've walked the streets of cities where nobody knows my face. I've seen the ocean swallow sunsets without leaving any trace. But every autumn when the leaves turn, I get an ache I know so well. Millbrook, Tennessee, you're the only story that I wanna live to tell. Millbrook, Tennessee, where the fireflies come out at dark, where old men outlive their stories and their hearts outlive the park. I done stopped my running, darling, that's the whole of it for me. 'Cause there's nothing quite like coming home to Millbrook, Tennessee. Millbrook, Tennessee, where the fireflies come out at dark, where old men outlive their stories and their hearts outlive the park. I done stopped my running, darling, that's the whole of it for me. 'Cause there's nothing quite like coming home to Millbrook, Tennessee. With a crack along the body that he never did fix back. Said a crack don't stop the music if the strings are true and tight. And he'd play it every Sunday from the afternoon to night. He learned it from his uncle who had learned it on the road. Before the war came calling and the fields ran dry and cold. The strings were always slightly off, but in a house it rang like gold. My father's old guitar worth more than I was ever told. My father's old guitar hanging on the parlor wall. It's been silent going on 10 years since the day I heard him call. Come listen, boy, and learn this before I'm gone too far. Lord, I wish I'd paid more attention to my father's old guitar. But his voice could fill a silence on a cold November night. Now I hang it on my own wall in a house that I call mine. And sometimes when the evenings get too quiet, I run my fingers down the line of that crack along the body that he never did repair. And I swear I hear him singing in the open country air. My father's old guitar hanging on my parlor wall. I hear him in the silence every time the long nights fall. Come listen, boy, and learn this before I'm gone too far. Lord, I should have paid more attention to my father's old guitar. Someday I'll have a son or daughter, and I'll teach them what I know. And I'll teach them that the cracked things are the ones that make you whole. I'll put that guitar in their hands beneath the almanac and star, and tell them everything I learned from my father's old guitar. darkness that another woman came. She walked into this very stool on a warm September night. Her hair was something borrowed from the dying evening light. I gave her all the good I had, she handed back the change, and now I drink somebody else's whiskey in her name. Somebody else's whiskey, somebody else's glass. I'm trying hard to drown a love that's too damn good to pass. The ice is all but melted and the crowd is thinned to few. I'm drinking somebody else's whiskey, 'cause I can't drink enough of you. There's a couple in the corner sharing something I once knew. She laughs at something that he's saying, he leans in like lovers do. I tip my hat and turn away and order up another round. You can lose a whole religion in a small town honky ground. I know the Lord don't smile on men who sit and stew alone, but there's a harder kind of lonesome than the kind you can't go home to. I'll settle up my tab tonight beneath this crackling light and walk out through the parking lot into the hollow night. Somebody else's whiskey in somebody else's glass. I was trying hard to drown a love that was too damn good to last. The ice is all but melted and the bar's about to close. I'll take somebody else's highway, 'cause Lord only knows where she goes. I packed my only suitcase for the rooster called the dawn. Left a note on the kitchen table, said I'd not be gone too long. But I know that note was lying, same as I've always done. The last exit before Memphis, where my running had begun. My mother stood on the porch step in the gray October light. She didn't wave, she didn't holler, just to watch me disappear from sight. I drove past the old water tower with my name scratched on the side. Left the only girl who loved me for a road that could not hide. The last exit before Memphis is the one I should have took, but I never was much good at closing any chapter of this book. The fields ran by like yellow pages, the sky turned copper then turned red. The last exit before Memphis is the place I left it all unsaid. There's a diner on the highway where the coffee's always black. You see faces in the window, but you know they won't look back. Old men trade worn out stories, waitress fills your cup again. In a place like that it's easy to pretend you don't have kin. Some roads don't forgive you, some roads just go straight, and the mercy that you're praying for has a way of running late. I pulled over near a river, let the engine idle down, and I thought about that exit sign and the exit from that town. The last exit before Memphis ain't a place I can return. There's a life back on that blacktop that I left there just to burn. But the fields still run like yellow pages and the sky still turns to red. The last exit before Memphis is the place I left it all unsaid. 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 Lord, I left it all unsaid. Barkeep's got a story if you ask him on the right night, but mostly he just pours them without looking at the light. The window faces westward, so you see the last of the red. By the time the sun is going down, you wish you'd stayed in bed. The neon sign at closing time is the last true thing I know. It buzzes like a lonely heart against the cold below. The parking lot is empty now, the highway's dark and wide. The neon sign at closing time is the last good alibi. I sat here once with Callahan on a warm July night. She ordered something sweet and cold and laughed at the pink light. That was 7 years ago, and 7 years have passed, and nothing sweet has come back since, but nothing good can last. There's a comfort in these small things, the creak of the same old door, the smell of pine and sawdust on a well-worn wooden floor. Tomorrow I'll be somewhere else, but right now I am here, beneath the only honest thing left burning through the atmosphere. The neon sign at closing time is the only thing that shines for a man who's lost his bearings in between the lines. The highway will be waiting and the cold will settle in, but the neon sign at closing time says, come on back again. Seven or so, the old men of Caldwell County let the world know. They gather at the diner on the southeast side of town with their feet caps and their opinions and the coffee going down. They've been doing it since Kennedy was running for the chair, and the waitress, she's the daughter of the one who used to be there. Old girl fought in Korea, don't talk much about the cold, just laughs at the weather reports and says, son, you ain't been told. Buford runs a hardware store, his daddy built in 49. Says he'll retire when he's dead or when the last nail leaves the line. And Reverend Price stopped preaching, but he still shows up to pray. Says the coffee here is holier than anything I'd say. The old men of Caldwell County know something the young forget, that the world was here before you and it'll be here after yet. They don't talk about the future much, they talk about what's true. The old men of Caldwell County have already been where you are going, son, are going, and they're watching over you. I sat down at the table on the morning I turned 30, feeling like the road ahead was crooked and uncertain. Dirty Earl just poured me half his coffee without a single word. Buford said the best years are the ones where you get hurt. The Reverend smiled and nodded like he'd signed off on that thought. And something in the diner was the peace I'd always sought. One day Earl's seat was empty, and it stayed that way a week. Buford put a coffee cup upside down and didn't speak. The Reverend said a few words to the table and the air, and we all sat a little near, and we all sat a little longer than we needed to be there. Cause the old men of Caldwell County know the one thing that is true, that the empty chairs remind us what the full ones mean to you. The old men of Caldwell County leave a seat when one moves on, like a place set chest. Just a long and hollow quiet that I carry with the rest. The house is warm again in May. The creek has thawed and flows, but I can feel that winter somewhere in every wind that blows. It was a winter that stayed long after every winter should. It was a winter that stayed longer than it ever could. The snow is gone from off the ground, but it's settled in my bones. It was a winter that stayed, and now I carry it along, alone, 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 alone. Lord, I carry it along, alone. I got $3 and a map that's out of date, a guitar with a warped neck and a heart that can't wait. They told me get a steady job, get a steady girl too, but steady never suited me the way that moving will do. I played a roadhouse house of Tulsa for a hat full of coins. I played a roadhouse outside Tulsa for a hat full of coins. The crowd was 3.5 bartender and his dog joined, but that half-drunk bartender, he hollered for more, and I played till the bottles were all clear from the floor. 3 chords and a tank of gas, that's all a man like me's gonna ask. 3 chords and a tank of gas, every highway's a home that is made to last. I don't need a mansion on a hill in the sun, just the next yellow line and a song when I'm done. 3 chords and a tank of gas, and a world full of roads going by way too fast. A girl in Albuquerque said I had potential, son. They said you could be somebody if you'd settle on one. I said, darling, I'm somebody, I'm the fella right here who's gonna play your whole town before the morning is clear. Some may need a blueprint for the life that they lead, some may plant a garden for the fruit and the seed. Me, I need the open air and the gut of a string, and whatever that next exit's got worth offering.
Keep riding with us through the roads of classic country. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next playlists.